Welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh! News, where the news comes last and the weather comes later. I want to tell you something about this card. It is one of the best cards that's come out of the OCG recently, and soon in Invasion Vengeance, we will have it in TCG. It's a card that'll very likely be used in frog decks, but it can also be summoned in any deck that can summon Bahamut Shark. And summon if I have Bahamut Shark's effect, get this on the field. It has a very nice effect. I'm not going to just go into too much detail about this card, but I will tell you, this card is totally awesome. Totally. That's totally with a D. Yeah, that's a pun. And I mean it, because this card is actually called Totally Awesome in the TCG. Sometimes you're like, okay, the names are the same. Or sometimes it makes a lot of sense. For example, with Gishki and like being called Ritual in Japan, and then like it being Japan having an English name and English having a Japanese name, that makes sense. Bujin to keep like the Japanese-esque names. Sometimes people complain, yeah, the name change, it's not good, doesn't sound as cool. What do you think about this one? It was called, like, the official translation for the Japanese, it was Mochi Toad, and a lot of people have been calling it Tree Toad. It is now officially called Totally Awesome, and I am not kidding. This is the official Konami article on it. Invasion Vengeance is totally awesome. Yep. Totally awesome. Unfortunately, no real big picture just yet. Nothing zoomed in, but 2 level 2 archetype monster, 2200 attacks, already nice, has a really nice negation effect. You can summon it via a few different means, like a Rescue Rabbit into 2 level 2 normals. Ronin Toad, anything in the frog deck really. So with your Swap Frog, your Ronin Toad and things like that, you can summon it. Or summon it via Bahamut Shark, as I mentioned earlier. Summon anything from there. Summon it with anything and then use it from there. If you really want your Super Ancient Deep Sea King Kolakanth, I suppose you can do that to get 2 Totally Awesomes out. It still seems weird. Totally Awesome is something to describe a card, not to have as a name. But it's actually called Totally Awesome, so yeah, I have to do it. Something else I mentioned in the article is Frog the Jam. Because this is related to the Frog archetype, even though it's not a member itself. But if you talk about the Frog archetype and something that is related but isn't part of it, then like Ronin Toadin could come to mind, because it's a monster that supports the idea of the Frog deck. It just isn't part of the archetype, but for the rest, its effect suggests that it could very well be. Another one is Frog the Jam. It's called Frog. Why is it not part of the Frog archetype? Well, it's because of the Japanese name, and we always follow the Japanese names for the archetypes. And this one is called Kairu Slime, which means frog slime. But the Japanese, like Kairu and Gairu, are both mean turtle. It's just slightly different pronunciations of the same thing, but it's written slightly differently in Japanese. And the frog of Frog the Jam is written slightly differently than the frog in Swab Frog, and in Dupe Frog, and in whatever Des Frog, a bunch of other frogs. So Frog the Jam is not part of the archetype. However, it's been there for many years, like well before frogs became an archetype. Therefore, like it was called Frog, otherwise it wouldn't have gotten the name in the first place. But due to that, things like Swap Frog and Ronin Toad needed to say except Swap Frog or Frog the Jam, except Frog the Jam. Things like that, which isn't really that much of a problem if you have to write on a few cards. However, you had the similar thing with Harpy's brother, who isn't part of the Harpy archetype. And at first people didn't mind, even when you had Harpy Lady Scissors, and Harpy's Pet Dragon. But then Harpies became an archetype that topped a few tournaments, even won single YCS, with like your Channeler and your Dancer and things like that. And they then reprinted Harpy's brother with a new name, Sky Scout, to reflect the fact that it's not part of the Harpy archetype. The same is going to happen to Frog the Jam. We have no clue what it'll be called yet. Probably something, maybe not Toad, but at least there won't be Frog in its name. Slime the Jam. it'll be really weird because Frog the Jam, like you hear it quite a lot, and I quite like the card, even though it's like just a really basic, not really good monster. But I like the name Frog the Jam. It's going to be different at some point. I don't think it mentions when it'll do it. You can banish Rescue Rabbit to special summon 2 normal monsters from the deck, take a Kappa to report, and the monster formerly known as Frog the Jam. It doesn't actually say what it will be named, it's just formerly known, therefore suggesting it will get a different name. However, which name this is, we actually don't know yet. It's not mentioned, I do believe. Check the gallery to be sure here on the wiki. I don't believe we have it. Korean, Frog the Jam, different video games. No, we don't actually know. But yeah, the main thing is like, well, yeah, Frog the Jam is going to get a name change, but the main thing, Toadally Awesome, is coming to the TCG. One of the main cards that people have been waiting for, or have been fearing, because they don't want to have it come to the TCG because it's a very strong card. And it's called Toadally Awesome. What do you think of that name? Let me know. I can laugh about it. I quite like it. I don't think there should be a lot of cards like it, but I approve of this one. I like it. Alright, that was the video for today. Good night and good news.